I think one of the primary things we tried to do was show that this is not a jobs bill. In fact, it's a political bill. It's a stunt. But what we know it is that it's borrowing and spending. It's borrowing money. It's spending money we don't have. And in this time of economic crisis across the globe, in every state, and certainly in this state, that this is the wrong time for politics as usual. That just because it's an even-numbered year doesn't mean we should pass another big bonding bill. But here we go again. Here we go again. Where we go from here, it's not clear to me. There will be, certainly the governor seems to be pushing back. There'll be another debate in the House in the next week or so, and we will keep trying to send the message quite strongly that we're still asking, how many jobs? How many jobs was this? How many jobs will this be? Can you certify that? Can you categorize that? Where are they? Just because you call it a jobs bill does not make it a jobs bill. So I was pleased with the debate today. I thought we raised some good points. The people behind me were certainly much more articulate than I was. I'll end on this note, and then I want to ask Senator Roebling to make a point or two. I think not only has the economy changed in ways that this institution apparently still doesn't get, but I think politics has changed. And I think the old school politics of bringing home the bacon is over. I think the old school politics of bringing home a project for your district is over, because right now our businesses and families and taxpayers are asking us, what are you cutting? What are you streamlining? What are you doing differently? And I believe that's the message of elections that we've seen across the country, of New Jersey, of Virginia, of Massachusetts, and I also believe it was a big message from Senator Perry's district, and he might want to speak to that. But I think the economy has changed in ways that it will never be the same, and I think the political winds are shifting in ways that legislators are probably just starting to grasp. Senator Roebling?
Thank you. And I wish this were really an immediate jobs bill. We all know how badly jobs are needed. But, you know, we just heard something in the State Government Finance Committee the other day when the Minnesota Management and Budget people were in, and we were talking about how fast they could move to sell bonds. And they said that typically they put together their package of bonds for sale in July or August. And sometimes we do start projects a little sooner than that. And we borrow from the general fund in order to get those projects kick-started, and as soon as the bonds are sold, the general fund can be repaid. But we all know what shape our general fund is in right now. We know we have serious cash flow problems. We're going to be borrowing from our school districts to meet our obligations. And so there's really no way that we can start these projects any earlier than we have in any other year. And then it's even skeptical. We're hoping that the bond houses look upon us favorably, but that we need a balanced budget. We need financial stability before we do that. And so, you know, that's a concern. We're hurrying this bill right now, but I don't think it's going to translate into bids being let in 3 weeks. That isn't going to happen, because we need general fund dollars to help make that happen. And the other thing that came out in Finance Committee when we had Tom Stinson, the state economist, with us, was that the best projects for jobs were the asset preservation jobs. And I asked specifically about that. I said, why would asset preservation jobs be the best jobs? Because he said the skilled laborers are the ones who have the greatest amount of unemployment right now. And the asset preservation puts most of those people, the most people to work. The carpenters, the plumbers, the HVAC folks, all of those people, the roofers, the people who would be doing the type of work that we know we need to invest in. We don't want our assets to fall apart. We know that there should be a bonding bill of some kind in order to preserve the assets we have, absolutely. And if those are the types of jobs that the type of work that brings in the most employment, that's what we should really be focusing on. And there is asset preservation in here. I'm glad that MnSCU and the U of M asked for that as a priority. We funded them only at about half the levels they requested, but there was asset preservations from Veterans Affairs. There was all of the different departments asked for more asset preservation than we gave them in this bill. So, it's just a matter of reprioritizing, and that's what I was trying to get at today. We need to prioritize what are our major obligations: asset preservation, public safety. I, of course, wanted to see the Moose Lake Sexual Predators Treatment Facility funded. We do have $1 million got in there as a placeholder for design. It is, though, a shovel-ready project, is my understanding. So it would, it would be one thing that would be ready to go. So that's kind of where we are right now.
Question for Senator Hunt.
Yep.
You pressed Democrats today on the floor to specifically tell you where the jobs were in this bill.
Sure.
Several times. Senator Langseth just was in here and said 10 to 20,000 jobs. Are there jobs that you think that Commissioner Stinson could be able to outline, or where?
I don't know, and Senator Langseth had plenty of opportunity on the floor to answer. A number of us asked the same question. So it's surprising to me that he would not say that publicly, but he would say it here. And I don't know where they're getting the number. I think they're pulling numbers out of the hat. I think they're completely bogus. I think part of this debate is that it's what is the vision for economic recovery in the state? Do we get economic recovery when we tax or spend money out of the private sector and take it to the legislature and have legislature pass bills to do things? Is that how economic recovery occurs? Or we try to find ways to make the private economy more conducive to investment? That's what I believe we need to do. That we need to find ways to not put additional burdens on the private sector. And when you are spending money and putting us further into debt, that puts more burdens on the private sector. And so I think there's a very fundamental difference here in approaches to this. And I don't believe the public, by the way, is going to buy the argument that if you say jobs, jobs, jobs loud enough and often enough, it's going to turn into a jobs bill, any more than when you say health care reform, that people are going to believe that either. I think that people are waking up to this idea that there's rhetoric and there's reality. And we saw a lot of rhetoric today, and I don't know what the numbers are. I don't think anybody's got a clue. We've passed a lot of bonding bills in the years I've been here and never seen any documentation of that. We even had an amendment to try to get at that. So I think this is rhetoric. I think it is. There's nothing to it. We hoped we would get something in concrete, but we haven't seen that. Perhaps we'll see something in the future, but I just don't believe it's there.